Hello, my name is Lorenzo Tamayo-Lee, and this is the Lazy Susan Collection presented through the Lazy Susan Collection online gallery. As our country moves into a state of paranoia and fear as a product of the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a rise of xenophobia and racially motivated hate crimes toward Asians and Asian Americans like myself. This is not the first time that an ethnic group has been targeted due to hateful rhetoric and the need to blame someone in times of uncertainty. And sadly, it won't be the last. I experienced a hate crime during my sophomore year in college where I got into an altercation with a fraternity where racial slurs were thrown at me by white students. They said things such as gook, chink, Asians can't fight, and go back to China. That same night, those same students barged into my house asking, "Where's the fucking gook?" proceeding to fight my roommates, trash my room, and left while saying, "Don't fuck with us N-words." Since then, the incident has been dealt with legally. However, I decided to take my personal experience of trauma and combine it with my passion for streetwear and fashion. These products would be something that spoke to the racism I experienced on a contemporary and historical level. Because of the sensitivity of this topic, I had to be mindful of the many intersectionalities as well as my time frame of 4 months. The process began with a hefty amount of research from historical books to podcasts to focus groups with Asian American CU students, to my mentors Rachel Beck and Daryl Maeda, and to studying current Asian American clothing brands in order to find out what my angle was. After months of research, I found out that the most powerful tool to counter racism or any sort of opposing view is empathy. And empathy can travel through conversation, and conversation can come from these products. I started with 52 quickly sketched prototypes, each with a message that danced between the literal and metaphorical. This was phase 1. After discussing with my professor and mentors which pieces were more doable than others, and which held a stronger ethos, for phase 2, I chose my favorite 10 pieces of clothing from the 52. Moving into phase 3, I narrowed it down to 3 pieces that would become the Generation Jacket, the Propaganda Chino Pants, and the Rice Jacket. I intended for these products to be one-of-ones, or produced in very few in order to cherish their vulnerability and stories. Phase 4, I began physically prototyping each piece until classes went online, at which point my products became digital renderings and began laying it out as an online gallery. Commonly used in Asian American restaurants, the Lazy Susan is a turnable circular table that helps distribute food to those sitting around an even larger circular table. Whether you're with family or people you just met, you must communicate with those next to you and across from you in order to turn the Lazy Susan without it spilling food or knocking over drinks. The Generation Jacket. The Generation Jacket celebrates my identity as a third-generation Chinese American and a second-generation Filipino American. Each fold on top of the other signifies those generations building on top of one another and establishing a story in the U.S. Carefully under each fold is a stitched name and story of Asian American resilience and defiance. The name or event can only be seen by asking the person wearing it to raise the fold or for permission to move it themselves, aka conversing. The name can also be seen for a brief moment while the wearer is in motion, signifying those stories moving and being passed down forward through time. The Propaganda Chino Pants. The Propaganda Chino Pants attempt to expose the racist history of the U.S. toward Asian Americans. Propaganda posters are taken from the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882 and the internment of Japanese Americans from 1942 to 1946. The red highlight, usually symbolizing joy and luck in Chinese culture, plays on the U.S. facade of a peaceful and joyous history that is often portrayed in our education and mainstream media. The placement of the poster at the bottom of the pants next to my feet helps signify that these are part of the roots or history of America. The Rice Jacket. The Rice Jacket is about vulnerability and protection. Growing up in elementary school, most of my lunches had rice mixed with some sort of protein or dumplings in a thermos. My classmates would make fun of me, yelling that shit stinks, or Lorenzo got some smelly Chinese food. Not until I was older did I realize that rice, along with these other foods that I had been made fun of, were something to embrace and be proud of. Rice is a staple in many Asian American homes. It's the glue that holds the family meal together. This jacket encompasses that aspect of community gathering and embracing my Asian American identity through a protective chainmail against verbal and racial harassment. The collection, if worn, is intended for younger Asian Americans like myself. However, their intention and story is meant for anyone, in the hopes to evoke empathy toward those we judge and hold biases toward. Thank you.